Take your mind into the wonderful world of physical, emotional, psychological, and spiritual wellness. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Kinetic Hour. Conversations with you and guests. With your host, Kennon, Wesley, Mason. That's me.
So we'll see how that all pans out in the months and weeks to come. I mean, November is 10 more months away. So 10 and a half months away. So we'll see how that pans out. Gotta love America. On a different tone, I'm going to switch gears because people that know me know that I'm very passionate when it comes to health matters. And many people may have seen this clip I'm about to show you here. But last week, one of the CNN correspondents, longtime CNN correspondent, Sara Sidner, announced publicly that she was diagnosed having stage 3 breast cancer. I'm going to pull this clip up, and because it was a few things that she said that was really kind of disturbing to me, and I just want to play this for you. If I may, just listen to this here.
Quite a day. First of all, how are you? How are you feeling?
Today was really uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And I know that sounds really weird. You'd think like the chemo treatment is the most uncomfortable thing, which, you know, it is poison being put into your system, but it is there to help you survive. But I am not used to talking about my personal business. And in our family, which I have discussed, the thing that is said over and over again on both sides of my family is don't tell your personal business. It's none of anybody's business. Keep your business to yourself. So I had to undo that because I thought that it was important that because of the numbers, because particularly of the numbers for women, and then even more specifically for Black women, I needed to say something.
Okay, I'm going to stop it right there. I've talked about this subject numerous times over the years. A few things were very disturbing. The first thing she said was that, you know, she's been going through rounds of chemotherapy, and she admitted that it's a poison. It's a poison. And I'm glad she said it on a nationwide televised program, because the entire world needs to know that chemotherapy or chemical therapy is a poison. In the same sentence, she also said what the collective consciousness is about cancer, that you have to poison yourself in order to manage these symptoms or manage the diagnosis of cancer. Because chemotherapy is the first line of defense when it comes to allopathic medical treatments. You know, when you're first diagnosed with cancer, that's the first line of defense that the oncologist will give to you or recommend, to have chemotherapy. And if you don't want chemotherapy, then we'll fry your insides by having a radiologist fry you from the inside from these radiation machines. You know, I've talked about my brother going through chemotherapy. I've seen what chemotherapy does. I've known people personally that have gone through chemotherapy on more than one occasion. I've known people that have had the diagnosis of cancer on more than one occasion. I've known people that have had their breasts removed. I've known and heard about people that have had their had hysterectomies, having their uterus removed. You know, I mean, and Sara Sidner said that she's going to not only have chemotherapy, but in this same clip of her talking to Abby Phillip, said not only is she going to have chemotherapy, but she's also going to have radiation, and she's going to have a double mastectomy. And she's also recommending for women to have their annual mammograms. So I'm going to just show this. I'm going to put something up here because, again, this is kind of disturbing to me, but I'm going to put this up here just to show people. Now, this right here, and this is for Black women specifically, Black women, African-American women, Black women and breast cancer. Black women are 41% more likely to die from breast cancer than white women. To be more accurate, and this is coming from the American Cancer Society, the American Cancer Society, as founded by one John David Rockefeller. And I'm just looking at some of these notes here because cancer, as I've always said, is big business. It's a conglomerate business, which is the reason why a mainstream cure for cancer will never be announced. And we keep taking our loved ones into these institutions over and over and over and over again. As we see here, the American Cancer Society, Black women are 41% more likely to die from breast cancer than white women. I would go as far as to say a more accurate statement would be Black women are 41% more likely to die from the chemotherapy treatments than Caucasian women. 41% of Black women are more likely to die from the radiation treatments than Caucasian women. Not the cancer alone. I mean, there are people that have had cancers and they grow and grow and grow and grow. They don't die from that. I mean, cancer, as I take this down, cancer is not the enemy, folks. The tumor is not the enemy. I've said this over and over again. The tumor is not your enemy. The tumor is your savior. This is how magical the human body is. You know, when you have toxic material in the body, from, you know, maybe all the toxic stuff that we put in our bodies. When it comes to breast cancer specifically, there's a lot of contributing factors of why breast cancer can develop. There's a lot of contributing factors of why uterine cancer develops, or cervical cancer, or prostate cancer, or testicular cancer, brain cancer. People don't usually die from the cancer. Most people die due to complications from the treatments that are administered. The treatments, not the cancer itself, the treatments. And again, we keep taking our loved ones into these institutions in the hopes that one day allopathic medicine will come forward with a viable solution that will once and for all heal cancer, no matter where it shows up in the body, and that includes breast cancer. And by the way, breast cancer is not just a feminine diagnosis anymore. More men are developing breast cancer too. And a lot of times it's for the same reasons that women are developing breast cancer. First, there's always alternatives. Know this, there's always other options versus what we've been thoroughly conditioned to believe. Chemical therapy, radiation, or surgery, removing the cancer or removing the tumor, or removing the polyp, removing the fibroid without, and fibroid, that's nothing but a cancer that is hardened, right? Fibroids. And again, because we don't understand how magical the human body is, we don't understand that the body is actually protecting us from dying, because the human body doesn't know anything about dying. The human body only knows about life and living at the most optimal level possible according to one's lifestyle. Sara Sidner, being that she has stage 3 breast cancer, I hope she recovers from her treatments. But history tells us that chemotherapy, when you're in remission, that just means that there's an open door for the cancer to come back. That's what remission is. That just means that it's being managed for the time being. It's gone temporarily. Now, you can do things to prevent it from reoccurring, but there's preventative measures that we can do before even going to chemotherapy and radiation as a first option. So ladies and gentlemen, but specifically ladies because of this statistic, for Black women specifically, and we can talk about brown women as well, or women that are heavily melanated. And then we can go to Caucasian women or all other women. But because of this statistic, for Black women, the best alternative option that I've come across would be something called the thermogram or thermography, as opposed to mammography, because thermography can detect at a much higher rate than standard mammograms, where they have to put like 50 to 60 pounds of pressure on your sensitive breast tissue and then zap it with radiation, like an X-ray, to see if you have cancer cells. You have to know that every time you have a mammogram, you're actually raising your potential to develop breast cancer by 2 to 5%. You have to know that. I mean, there's a reason why many, if not most, pharmaceutical drugs are tested upon darker skinned people, because you get the most accurate results. This is common knowledge. This is why Bill Gates always tests his new inoculations on darker people, African people. He never tests his inoculations on Caucasian people in Europe. No, he always goes to Africa. That's on purpose, because he knows he'll get the most accurate results. Chemotherapy and radiation operate the same way on darker skinned people. So for Black women specifically, consider thermograms. You can look it up. I know people that specialize in this. So go and look it up, and you can make your own assessment and decision. If you choose to continue to go the mainstream standard mammogram route, then you're freely entitled to do that. but just know that there are more accurate and non-invasive options for you as a woman. Thermograms, thermography, you can look it up. Preventative measures, one of the most common of preventative measures is one, start or stop, I will say, consider to stop using anti-perspiration deodorants. Anti-perspiration deodorants. You know, the thick white paste that men and women put under their arms so they don't perspire. That's why they call it an anti-perspiration. Antiperspirant. So you don't perspire, which is what the human body is supposed to do. So every time you put an antiperspirant under your armpits, you're clogging all the multiple lymph nodes that are in this area here. Your lymphatic system is being clogged to high heaven. So all the toxic stuff is building more and more and more and more and more and more. So if it has nowhere to go, yeah, a tumor is going to build. And this is why the woman and the man feel these lumps under the breast. This is toxic stuff waiting to be released. But no, because we watch commercials on the best deodorant to put on and we want to smell good and all these things, which I have no problem with, but there's multiple ways that you can not have a quote body odor versus putting on an antiperspiration ointment or paste, which is what most antiperspirants are. They're these thick white paste and it clogs your pores. And there are women that have been doing this for 10, 20, 30 years. And then they wonder why they have the lump under their breast. And that's just one possibility. And I've talked about other things. I mean, you can, a lot of doctors will tell you to always check under your breast to make sure that there's no lumps, putting the fear in you to make sure that there's nothing going on in your chest cavity. They want you to continuously check once a month, always checking. Oh, I hope there's nothing there. This is called fear. And the more we entertain fear of cancer, the more we're going to entertain the energy of breast cancer, the fear, because fear is an energy. And the more we keep looking for something, one day we just may find it, because the very thing that you fear, if you continuously have these notions in your mind, as energy would have it, energy collects and energy accumulates. And you can think your way into illness. That's how powerful the human brain and the human mind is. You can think your way into illness. Just like Napoleon Hill's book, Think and Grow Rich, you can think your way into illness as well. That's a fact. Just like you can think your way out of illness. The placebo effect proves that. This is how powerful the human mind is. But in general society, where we live in an everything is awesome society, watch the Lego movie, you'll see what I'm talking about. Everything is awesome. We're just kind of in the matrix, oblivious to everything that's important that will keep us healthy for well over 100 years. But we have people that are dying in their 50s, their 60s from complications, not to the cancer, but from the chemotherapy treatment and the radiation treatment, because you fried your insides. For those that still believe that chemotherapy is the answer, you might want to look up the history of chemotherapy and why that treatment was started to begin with. It may be eye-opening to some, and some may look at it and it may go through one eyeball and out the other because of how we're locked into a very specific way of living when it comes to health matters. It's just what it is, which is why cancer is big business. I mean, the National Breast Cancer Foundation, as of 2021, raked in $11 million. The American Cancer Society, founded in 1913 by, again, John Rockefeller. And by the way, all of standard allopathic medicine is based on the John Rockefeller philosophy. You know, when you buy Vaseline intensive care, what do you think you're putting on your skin? You know, it's consolidated gasoline. It's petroleum. That's why they call it petroleum jelly. And we're putting this stuff on our skin. Mineral oil, same thing. Baby powder. For parents, stop putting baby powder on your children when you change their diapers. They'll never have a diaper rash. Every time your babies have diaper rashes, that's one of the main reasons why. Because we keep putting baby powder in the diaper, and it clogs the pores. And this is in their reproductive region, you know. So parents, consider to use something else. Actually, you really don't need to use anything. You don't need baby powder to put on your child after you clean them up. No, you let their physical selves breathe. Let their pores breathe. Don't clog them up with baby powder. The American Cancer Society, for cancer research, as of 2019, $145 million for cancer research. This is just for research. But more and more people are passing away from the research of better ways to administer chemotherapy, better ways to administer radiation, better ways to administer the mammogram. There is no better way because, as Sara Sidner said, it's a poison. It's a poison. The American Cancer Society, as of 2021, raked in $652 million of revenue. Their net worth is upwards of $1.2 billion. And then you have the National Cancer Act, spearheaded by former President Richard Nixon. You know, that's why there's been a war on cancer since then. A war on cancer that standard medicine doesn't want to seem to win. So there are other options. And I just gave you two options. Start drinking more water so you can flush all this toxic crap out of your system. And start thinking better thoughts about yourself as a woman. You know, I have a daughter, a 9-year-old, and this is what I'll be teaching her, to think more highly of herself as a woman as she grows up. So she won't have these toxic thoughts about her femininity, you know, so she won't have any occurrences or developments of breast cancer and uterine cancer, cervical cancer, having her sacred body parts removed, because we live in such a thoroughly conditioned society. You know, I mean, women are still allowing allopathic medicine to remove their sacred body parts. Why? Why? Something to think about, especially for Black women, for darker skinned women, Latin women of darker complexion, or what they call the Afro-Latina, right? Native American people, the original people of this land, African people, more of the original people of this land here, what we call the Americas. You don't need chemotherapy and radiation to heal yourself. All cancers are a development because of some adverse occurrence that we either did to ourselves or something that was adversely done to us, or an adverse lifestyle, or an perpetual adverse way of thinking about yourself. Cancer. And those thoughts become cancerous, right? So just something to consider as we move forward. You know, we have Breast Cancer Awareness Month in October. And then I think there's a ribbon color for every cancer that there is. Matter of fact, I think I have a picture of it. I'm gonna have to pull it up one day. There's literally a color for every cancer that's been founded on the human body. You know, they have green, I think, for some other cancer. They have liver cancer. They have, you know, again, prostate cancer. I think there's a color for every ribbon. You know, pink is for breast cancer. Just know that cancer is big business, and the cancer, like the American Cancer Society, Susan G. Komen Foundation, these foundations rake in millions off of your misery, off of your loved one's misery, off of your loved ones passing away from all of these barbaric treatments. No one has to go through any of those for the sake of getting well. So just something to think about as I get ready to sign off. Just consider taking better care of yourself, looking up other options and alternatives versus the standard, because we see what the standard has done decade after decade after decade after decade. Tell everyone you know to tune into the Kinetic Hour. Go to my YouTube channels once again, the Kinetic Hour, YouTube at the Kinetic Hour, and Kinetic Fit and Wellness info at Kinetic Fit, both at YouTube, and that's Kinetic, Kennetic. Thank you for tuning in. Till next time.